And we're back with our daily MLB best bets here for game number 5 of the World Series. And I was wrong yesterday, but I'm not too upset about it. Jays take game number 4. Now we are guaranteed for the series to go back to Toronto, Ontario, Canada for Friday. But first, a huge game number 5. The winner of this game obviously heads back to Canada, up 3-2, where obviously a champion will be crowned up in the 6th, but a pivotal game 5, and it is an exact replica, at least pitching-wise, starting pitching-wise, from game number 1. It was a game, by the way, the Jays won 11-4. Trey Savage versus Blake Snell. They will do it once more, this time from Dodger Stadium. What an eventful trip to Los Angeles it has been for both teams. Again, they will both head on to Toronto, Ontario, Canada, probably tomorrow morning. But anyways, game 5 best bets. And folks, before we get into the video, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more daily MLB best bets here on the channel. Again, our 5 best bets or I guess 3 best bets for game 6 of the World Series will be out on early Friday mornings. You're not going to want to miss that. Also on the channel, folks, go make sure to check out our daily NBA best bets posted in a couple hours from now. Our weekly college football predictions, over 4 hours this week of week 10 college football predictions. And with the NFL, our weekly NFL predictions also up on the channel. And on Greedo Plays MMA, go make sure to check out our UFC Fight Night Garcia versus Onama full card predictions. Again, all those videos are linked in the description down below. Okay, on to the first of our 3 best bets, Jays Dodgers. We're going to go player prop, over under, money line, just like yesterday. Hopefully we get a little more success today. Money line / run line, you'll see. Hopefully we have a little more success today. Let's kick things off first with our best player prop. We're going Vladimir Guerrero Jr. over 1.5 total bases at plus 110. I mean, this has been a common occurrence for us so far in this postseason. It has been Ohtani, Guerrero, but in spots like this, in series like this, you go after the best players on the board. Right, you look for the number 1 guys, and you trust in the superstars because superstars rise to the occasion more than other players, obviously. So Guerrero, the number 1, obviously, the number 1 guy on Toronto, the face of the franchise, showed up once more yesterday. When the Blue Jays needed a big hit, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. delivered. Down 1-0, what does Guerrero do? Jays looking for any momentum against Shohei Ohtani on the mound. Vladimir Guerrero drives a 2-run home run. Jays go up 2-1. They don't give up the lead for the rest of the game. Guerrero had another hit in the top of the 9th inning, top of the 9th, I think it was the 9th. It was just it was the 9th. It was just a slap shot into right field. Wasn't hit very hard, but another 2-hit night for Guerrero. He is back over 400 for the average in the postseason. Well, he's still at 400. He's at 420. My goodness, this far into the postseason, it's absurd what he's doing, and the amount of hits that he is getting is absolutely insane. Again, we went to this prop with Guerrero for game number 3. That was a day where we swept the board. We had a great game 3, obviously. We had Jays plus 1.5, Vladdy over 1.5 total bases, and Freddie Freeman over 1.5 total bases, which obviously cashed with the game-winning and walk-off home run. But I think we have to go back to Guerrero here. It's another big spot. I know against Blake Snell in game number 1, Guerrero, well, at least in game 1 in general, Guerrero did fairly well against the Los Angeles Dodgers and, of course, Blake Snell. Snell goes fairly deep in that game. Again, you can look at the final score and say 11-4. Snell goes fairly deep in game number 1. Guerrero, though, against Snell, a hit in the top of the 3rd, hit in the bottom of the 3rd, hit in the bottom of the 6th. This is a favorable matchup for Vladimir Guerrero. It is. It is a very favorable matchup. I know Snell's been great, and, he's great all postseason long. The difference was when he ran into the Jays in Game 1 of the World Series, no lineups like Toronto, Philly, Milwaukee, Cincinnati. This team's just a little different, right? So we have a guy here in Vlad who does have a hit against Snell. The second hit in game number 1 was off Anthony Banda in relief for Blake Snell, but still, Guerrero went 1 for 2 against Snell in game number 1. He walked his first at-bat, if I'm not mistaken, hit the second time out, and I think grounded out the 3rd time. But it's not a bad matchup at all for Guerrero. Again, he gets the righty-lefty spot here with Blake Snell, who was tremendous throughout the entire postseason before Game 1 of the World Series. More on Snell later. But it should be a fairly decent spot for Guerrero here, and I think he should be able to come through. Vladdy's got a hit in every game of this postseason except for 2, and those were in back-to-back games. Again, the daunted first 2 games of the American League Championship Series for the Blue Jays as they took on the Seattle Mariners. Guerrero goes 0 for 4 and 0 for 3 in those 2 games, but those are the only 2 games all postseason long where Guerrero did not get a single hit. Now, in most of these games, he does go over the 1.5 total base mark because more times than not, I think it's way more times than not, Vlad is getting multiple hits in one game. There are the few occasions, too, where his one hit is an extra base knock, but more times than not, Guerrero is going to come through. And most of the time, we see his line in the minus 120s, the minus 110s. Again, then, of course, that is always dependent on starting pitching matchup. But I look at this, and I'm like, all right, I get it's plus 110, and I know why it is plus 110. The reason why we're getting good odds on Guerrero today is because Blake Snell and how lockdown, shutdown Blake Snell has been all postseason long. Dare I say I'm not too concerned anymore about Blake Snell. Not to say he wouldn't shut down most lineups in baseball. Hell, 25 plus lineups in baseball, maybe even 30 plus. This one's just different. Because, I mean, I raved about how great Milwaukee was all year long. And did we always think they were kind of just a regular season team? Sure. But, I mean, I was so high on Philadelphia. I'm not going to hide from that. I said a long time ago I thought the Phillies were going to win the World Series. You know, partially because I thought this had to be their year, because I don't know whenever else they can win it, and just the truth to that matter is Philadelphia is not winning with this core, so they shouldn't re-sign Schwarber, because they're not going to win anyways. But regardless, Snell shut down those lineups. What I've come to the conclusion watching Toronto play and watching Toronto hit throughout this series so far, and obviously they struggled in extra innings just 2 days ago, but yesterday included, they are just different than Milwaukee. They're different than Philadelphia. And I know the first time around where Blake Snell pitched against Toronto, it was up in Ontario, Canada, this time in Los Angeles. I don't think it matters that much. Personally, I don't think it does. You know, it took a little bit for the Jays to finally get going on Blake Snell in game number 1, right? They didn't put any runs on the board until Varsho hit the 2-run bomb in the bottom of the 4th, and then everything obviously started to unravel for Blake Snell as he came back out for the bottom of the 6th, where he couldn't record a single out in the bottom of the 6th inning. Obviously, 5 runs are charged to Snell, the final one being the Jimenez knock-in of Dalton Varsho, and then obviously right, Addison Barger at the grand slam, and, you know, it was good night Irene from there. It's not a bad spot for Guerrero, though, at all. And on top of that, too, there's a very high possibility the Jays chase Snell out of the game pretty early again. I mean, they've already dominated the matchup before. Who's to say they can't do it again? It's a lineup that has extreme confidence now, because this is the same spot they were in last series, right? Last series, guys, the Blue Jays are never going to face much adversity. I know it's the World Series now, but the Jays are not going to fight as much or find as much adversity as they did in the American League Championship Series. You were down at 2-0. You found a way to win 2 more. Then you lost games 5, and then obviously came back to Toronto and won games 6 and 7. And I'm not telling you that the same exact thing is going to happen here, that, Toronto's going to lose tonight and they're going to go back to, to Canada and win 2 games in a row. But it's a spot they're familiar with, okay? They've been down before in series. They've been, in the 2-2 spot as well, and they came out of that last one victorious. This team's confident in their hitting abilities against anybody. Now, a big question, we'll get into this as we go on, who's going to be available today for the Toronto Blue Jays. I mean, I'm primarily just obviously talking about George Springer. Will Springer play? Will he not? I'll get into that later. But Toronto found ways to hit off of Shohei Ohtani yesterday, and I completely understand. I've said it before, too. I think Blake Snell is the best arm in this starting rotation. Obviously, he's the best arm on this Dodgers team. The Jays found a way to crack him. And normally I wouldn't be over the moon about the lefty going against this Jays lineup. They managed it fairly well. So I'm going to go with Guerrero here. Again, he was 1 for 2 with a walk against Blake Snell, but obviously if Snell gets chased out of this game, here comes that Dodgers pen, which has not ultimately been that bad so far in this World Series. We were always scared of it. Really, the Jays have done their most damage on starting pitchers. Look back at Game 1 against Blake Snell, Game 4 against Shohei Ohtani. Obviously, they were able to score in Game 5 off of Tyler Glasnow as well. I mean, Game 2 is, it's Yoshinobu Yamamoto, and that's another big factor, by the way. Yamamoto will get the ball on Halloween in Game 6, so we got to think about that one as well. But I like Vladimir Guerrero Jr. here, over 1.5 total bags. That line is priced at plus 110. Let's take advantage of it. Next up, we move on to the over-under today. I'm going to keep going with the over. I mean, until it fails me, I'm going to keep going with it. I'm going to tell you now, the game where I won't go with the over will be probably Game 6. Now, I need to see what it's at, but I mean, likely we're staring down Kevin Gausman and Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Yamamoto's got to go Game 6. You'd think, maybe the Dodgers save him for 7. There's no reason they're going to go for the big blow, obviously, in Game 6 and try to win it. Maybe there's a case if they lose Game 5, then maybe they push Yamamoto back to 7, but who would pitch Game 6 in the first place? No, it's Yoshinobu starting Game 6. I don't even know why I'm pondering that. So that's the one circumstance where I'd consider the under. Obviously, we know how good Yoshinobu was in Game 2. Hell, again, it's not going to get talked about, but Kevin Gausman was pretty good in Game number 2 as well. So that's potential for Halloween. We know there will be a baseball game played on Friday night. night. That's going to be fun and electric back in Canada. But for now, obviously, we have this Game 5 in Los Angeles. I'm going to keep going with the over, okay? These teams find ways to score. Yesterday, the over-under that we bet on was over 8, and, well, we pushed, okay? So shout out to the Dodgers in the bottom of the ninth inning, a meaningless run, but, Teoscar Hernandez gets on, Tommy Edman with a, fielder's choice over to first base, or hit it to second, obviously, to third, but run scores, we'll take it, we push, okay, we salvaged the night somewhat, a little bit yesterday, okay, we'll take it. And that was, again, Bieber versus Ohtani, obviously. Bieber's in trouble early in that game, but manages it, only gives up one run in the Kike Hernandez sacrifice fly. And then, obviously, it all unravels for Ohtani when the Blue Jays finally get a hold of him. And then, we're given that one run in the bottom of the ninth inning. Anyways, though, Trey Yesavage, Blake Snell. Yesavage was good early in that Dodgers start, struggled a little bit. Managed well considering the circumstance. There was runners on with Yesavage, and he found a way to get out of those jams. 4 innings pitched in game number 1, 4 hits, 2 runs, 3 walks, and 5 strikeouts. We're going to need a Herculean-type effort out of Yesavage. Sorry, the Jays are going to need a Herculean-type effort to win this baseball game. That's really just dependent on what they're going to do or what they will do against Blake Snell. But they need Yesavage. What I'm getting to here is they need Yesavage to be good. However, this Dodgers lineup, I know they have not been performing, right? I mean, it's been Ohtani who's been performing and Teoscar Hernandez, right? Seriously, I mean, Freddie Freeman is the big home run, obviously, in Game 3 to win it, right? Freeman actually has not been that good in the playoffs in the World Series other than that. He had 2 hits yesterday, so I will say that. But, I mean, the show's really just been Ohtani and Teoscar so far and an occasional dose of Kike Hernandez. The problem I still have with Los Angeles is you have too many guys who are ice cold. I mean, Mookie Betts has mastered the signature. I mean, it's just a signature thing he does now. Betts takes a swing, 2-handed high release. Oh, pop-up looks up at the pop-out, and boom! Goes, damn it! And runs to first base. No one's perfected the pop-out signature better than Mookie Betts. But anyways, I know Betts had a hit yesterday. He had one in the 8th inning when it didn't really matter, but regardless. Because Will Smith grounded into a double play right after. But it's not a great lineup right now, and that's a little bit of a fear for me. Yesavage should be more locked in this time around. I mean, this is a guy who started the year in low A and found himself pitching in Game 1 of the World Series this season. I mean, one hell of a year. Now I get it. He's going to be on the road, hostile environment, kind of, in Los Angeles. Same crowd that leaves in, the 14th inning because, I don't know. Cool. Like, I know why Justin Herbert left, but not all of you are celebrities. Not all of you have to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to, throw a football around. I mean, I guess people have work, but still, I don't know. Anyways, maybe I won't go after Dodgers fans like that. I don't know. Regardless, it's going to be a difficult spot for Yesavage. I get it. He should be more locked in this time around. Again, we can expect Ohtani to still have a day. I know Shohei went 0 for yesterday. How many days in a row is that going to happen with Ohtani? Again, it's just that is partially as well, though. Shohei hits worse when he pitches. And I know that's not a notion that really gets talked about, at least recently, because of how well he pitched in Game 4 of the NLCS. How well he hit in Game 4 of the NLCS. Well, he pitched well, too. But just how great Ohtani was in that, elimination game for Milwaukee that sent the Dodgers to the World Series. And, Ohtani hit 3 home runs. Let's not forget, Ohtani was really bad at the plate this season in games in which he started. And obviously kind of went back to that yesterday. He went 0 for 3, walked in the first inning to lead off the game, and really didn't do anything else to the plate after that. So you can expect a bounce back day out of Ohtani. The rest of the Dodgers lineup, though, I know Teoscar's going to hit the ball hard. Not really sold by anybody else in the lineup. Where I think we get majority of our runs, guys, this might sound crazy, it's with the Blue Jays. This team got Snell for 5 runs. And it's not like, okay, well, it's not like the earlier series where, okay, you pitch against this team once and you move on. Now, Snell's got to throw to these guys again. They figured him out. And yeah, a big factor is George Springer, right? Is Springer going to play today? Did not play yesterday. Jays won without George Springer. I think he's probably going to be back. I think. With it not being an elimination game, though, maybe they just sit him for Game 5 and get ready for that, for Game 6 and get ready for Toronto. Last thing on George Springer was that, again, it's just right side discomfort. Had an MRI, and he's just considered day-to-day. I think he's going to give it a go, and I'd like to have Springer back in the lineup. It just makes that team a lot more dangerous. Now, they managed without him yesterday. They lead off Nathan Lucas. They go two-spot Vladimir Guerrero. They go Bichette at the 3, Barger at the 4. They basically just bump everyone and put Barger in the 3 spot, or in the 4 spot. It's a fine lineup. It works. Obviously, you'd much rather have George Springer in there, and what we mentioned earlier in the week or yesterday, and we expected them to do was, well, okay, Bo's just going to DH and they're going to play IKF in the field, and that's exactly what they did. You don't have to pull Bo Bichette anymore because you're concerned about his defense. Well, in a game like this, I mean, I think you need to keep Bichette at second base and obviously put Springer in the DH spot. I get it, they're facing a lefty here. You're going to still have to play Lucas, I would assume. I mean, they might try to look at this like they did in game 1 and pinch hit. Well, they're probably, so Schneider's going to start, I assume. I don't think you can start Miles Straw, though. I mean, Barger's going to come in off the bench, obviously, hit the big home run, but they're going to start with Schneider, I can assume, just for the matchup. If I'm Toronto, I'm not starting Miles Straw. Miles Straw can't get a hit to save his life. I'm not doing it. I'm going to bat Nathan Lucas in the 8 spot instead and say, you know what, bring on the lefty spot. I'd much rather have Lucas in there, any spot necessary over Miles Straw. Miles Straw can't hit a baseball. Right? And obviously, you want Springer back in there as well, because if not, then you got to go back to Bichette DHing, IKF at second base. I don't love that at all. But I still think this lineup has figured out Snell. It took them a couple innings to break through, but once they broke through in game number 1, yeah, the avalanche came, and the Jays scored 9 runs in 1 inning. It didn't matter who came in after for Los Angeles, whether it be Emmett Sheehan, Anthony Banda. They both got bombed on. They both gave up 3 runs, respectively. This is the best lineup, obviously, in the American League. You can argue it's the best lineup in Major League Baseball, and the biggest reason that's fueling that, obviously, is Vladimir Guerrero. So that's how this kind of, pairs hand in hand with our best player prop, but it's true. I think Guerrero is going to have a big day. I think the Jays have a big day, and I think Savage is going to give up runs, okay? I think there will be spots where Savage is going to give up the solo home run to Shohei, the solo home run to Teoscar Hernandez. Maybe Max Muncy closes his eyes and runs into a baseball. Maybe something like that. I believe the majority of the runs scored in this game are going to be the Toronto Blue Jays, and I think the over today will hit 7.5 runs minus 115. I know, again, you might be expecting Snell to be shut down. I'm going the other way. I believe those runs early are going to be scored by Toronto, and I'm taking the Blue Jays and the Dodgers, obviously, to combine for 8 or more runs. Anyways, a final best bet, let's just get right to it. We're taking Jays plus 1.5. Now, why am I not taking plus 170 for Toronto? Well, because that doesn't entirely go hand in hand with our over. Why don't you just take the money line? Hear me out now. Hear me out. Okay. I can be wrong about the over-under, completely wrong, and it still hits. In terms of that could not go, the script could be completely wrong, and it's, a close game. Dodgers are putting up runs. Jays are answering, but, Dodgers win a close one, obviously, but they both put up runs. And let's just say it's a 5-4 final, right? And the Dodgers score a majority of the runs. I do believe the Jays are going to score more than the Dodgers, but I'm going to take the plus 1.5 allowance, though, okay? And I think they're going to have more success against Banda. I am kind of waiting for the Blue Jays bullpen to implode. Okay, there's been a lot of talk about the Dodgers pen is, and it's true. We haven't really seen the Jays bullpen implode just yet at all in the playoffs. I've been thinking about it. I haven't talked about it just because I don't want it to happen, but there is going to come a time, I think, where the Jays bullpen just goes. I've been fearful of it. Not saying it's going to happen here, but I'm saying it's a possibility that it can. So again, I think the Jays can probably win this game, okay? And if you had to make me pick, I'd probably take Toronto, but this is about the best bet for the individual game, and the best bet is taking Toronto to cover plus 1.5. In case we get into another scenario like we did a couple nights ago where we're in the 18th inning and a Freddie Freeman home run wins it for the Dodgers, does that suck for us? Undoubtedly. I mean, America's cheering for the Blue Jays, unless you live in, Los Angeles County, but still, regardless, right? I'm cheering for the Jays. I mean, I'm from America. I want the Blue Jays to win. My point being with all this, if that happens and it goes 18 innings or we get extras again and the Dodgers win by 1 run, okay, we're fine. It sucks, but okay, we're good. I'm looking at the spot, right? I think the Jays can handle this one. And I think if you get George Springer back, I get it. It's a little bit, it sucks that he's coming off another injury. He's been riddled with them, obviously, so far in this postseason. But I think the main thing we can look at is game 1. It's game one, right? If you look at how that game was priced, I mean, that game closed at minus 160 for the Dodgers, plus 125 for the Toronto Blue Jays, and minus 1.5 for the Dodgers in the run line was plus 115, and plus 1.5 for the Jays in the run line was minus 135. I believe it's at minus 120 today. I need to check that real quick, but I believe for plus 1.5 for the Jays, we get it at minus 120. Yes, minus 120. Okay. I mean, there's a lot of things that I like, and I know we weren't, I know we were successful too, in game 3, but, and I said this at the time, I'll say it again, I love going plus 1.5 for teams on the road, and I know, again, yesterday I took minus 1.5 for the Dodgers. That was my mistake. I should have more confidence in the Jays. I thought they were just doomed after losing the 18-inning game, but guess I'm wrong, and I'm happy to be wrong about that, okay? They snatched the momentum right back, and maybe I should have looked more at what happened when Boston and Los Angeles played the 18-inning game back in, 2018, and the Red Sox came back the very next night, won, and eventually won the World Series, right? In the same kind of scenario like this, I mean, the series is going to go back to Toronto, like it did go back to Boston. Anyway, or no, I think, did the Red Sox close it out? I'm forgetting the 2018 World Series. Anyways, I'm looking at the spot, and again, there is the possibility where, okay, Jays are down by 1, but they get an extra at bat than Los Angeles. Just a lot can go our way in this, right? Yeah, that series in 2018 did not go back to Boston because they won it in 5. That's crazy. The Dodgers won 1 game in that series, and it's the 18-inning one. Yeah. Anyways, before the Dodgers just went all in every single season, right? Well, don't forget what happened to them in 2019. Just saying. Anyways, Howie Kendrick. Regardless, though, there's a lot of things that can go right for us in this spot, right? There is. I think these two teams are evenly matched. I think the starting pitching matchup is evenly matched. And that might sound crazy. Look how well the Jays approached Blake Snell in game 1. I have not seen a team in this postseason do that so far. And it's incredible. And that's what I keep saying about this Jays team. Every time I'm like, oh, Dodgers should get it. This is going to be back-to-back for Los Angeles. We're staring down a lockout in 2027 because it's going to be another Dodgers victory. The Jays lineup brings you back in. I mean, you watch that game earlier, you're like, oh, goodness, here comes, Bieber's in all this trouble. Ohtani's, mowed down the first couple guys. He's gone through, 2 decent, pretty clean innings. Boom. Guerrero comes in and hits a bomb, Just, they keep roping you back in with this team and with this lineup. And Blake Snell, he was on a generational run in this postseason. I mean, he was untouchable through 3 games. Right? Pitches against Cincinnati in game number 1 of the wild card round. Yes, gives up 2 runs. Those 2 runs are very late in the game. It is what it is. He goes 6 shutout innings against the Philadelphia Phillies and 8 shutout innings and 10 strikeouts against the Milwaukee Brewers. Going to Toronto, whole different story. I mean, he went to the bank. He went to Miller Park or whatever the hell it is now, American Family Field, and he shut down those lineups and he shushed the crowd. He goes to Toronto and it's not the same. I know, again, Snell has not pitched at home in this postseason, so since we were in September, it was September 30th when he pitched against the Cincinnati Reds. I don't really care, okay? The Blue Jays have now shown, too, they can go to Los Angeles and win. I mean, they pretty clearly and pretty early stated that when they were in Seattle, obviously, right? They came out there and punched the Mariners right in the mouth and won back-to-back games and established, yeah, we are going to win here in the Pacific Northwest. Well, last night, after, losing an 18-inning game, losing the longest, tied for now, the longest World Series game in Major League Baseball history, they come back and they're resilient. They are a resilient bunch, and they find a way to win. And not just find a way to win. I mean, they pretty handily win that game. Dodgers have 1 lead, and it's the Kike Hernandez sac fly in the bottom of the 2nd. What do the Blue Jays do immediately? Next half inning, Guerrero snatches it right back from Ohtani. Joe Davis was ecstatic, by the way, to call that on commentary, wasn't he? Wasn't he, Joe Davis? Oh, my goodness. Like, whose great idea was it for have the Dodgers announcer to announce back-to-back World Series? I get it, he works for Fox, but that's like if Joe Buck, it's like Joe Buck was the announcer for the Astros back when the World Series was on Fox every year, and the Astros just kept going back. Like, it just, I don't know. I don't know. I just blame Joe Davis sometimes for my frustration watching baseball games. Regardless, I think Joe Davis is actually pretty good at his job in the regular season. He's very good as the Dodgers play-by-play guy. I don't love him as the main Fox guy, okay? I think he does a pretty good job elsewhere, I'm not going to lie. I don't think he's bad calling the NFL either. Regardless, though, off my Joe Davis sidetrack, I think the Jays can get this one, right? I think they can legitimately win. I'm going to take the plus 1.5 because it gives us room to work, right? It gives us room to work. I said yesterday, too, I thought the Jays were probably going to win game 5, and I still believe that. Again, I'd rather take the plus 1.5 and not sweat it. If the Jays win and, we missed out on getting, plus 170, that sucks. Sprinkle on it, that's fine. Sprinkle something on that. I'm going to take the cautious approach, and I'm going to take the plus 1.5. And I did say yesterday, right, like, I thought Los Angeles was going to win yesterday. I was wrong. I thought the Dodgers were going to put it on the Jays. I thought they were going to blow them out. I thought Ohtani was going to have a lot of success. I didn't love the fact that, Bieber had to warm up the night before, and, you just got to throw him back out there 16 hours later and go make a start in Game 4 of the World Series. But Bieber produced. Ohtani was good until he wasn't, and obviously, kind of blew up as he continued to go in that start. I'm looking at this now, and the main reason why I did think Toronto was going to be fine for Game 5 originally, going into Game 4, was it's going to be an elimination game. They're going to pull out all the stops just to get that series back to Toronto. Now, I think they still win, but it's a little bit of a different mindset. Like, yeah, you 100% want to win the football game. It's not a must-win anymore. And you can make the argument, sure, every game in the World Series is a must-win, and that's fair, but there is, in a must-win scenario, there is no tomorrow. For the Blue Jays, even if they lose this game, there is a tomorrow. The sun does come up tomorrow, and there will be a Game 6 back in Toronto. Again, the Jays have taken back home field advantage. It's a term that doesn't really get talked about too much, at least in Major League Baseball, and in the NBA too, because teams aren't unbeatable at home anymore. It's just, and obviously home field advantage is more of a football thing, and obviously you're going to see top seeds lose at home. Hell, like last year in the NFL, we saw, obviously, the Detroit Lions losing their first postseason game against the Washington Commanders, right? But in baseball and basketball, it's not as big of a deal anymore. And I don't know if it's ever been, but I just feel like the emphasis isn't made about it anymore. I remember like years ago when a team, I guess, like, what series can I think of? Hell, 2019, I don't want to keep bringing up the National Series, but 2019 Nats-Astros, when the Nats won the first 2 games in Houston. I mean, I remember a big deal was made of, okay, well, the Nats, they have 2 games they can now lose a game in DC and still win the series. When the Astros won 2 consecutive games back in 3 and 4, the whole thing was the Astros have reclaimed home field advantage, and now they're in a great spot because they can still lose in DC and just win out in Houston. So that term, again, isn't as big of a deal now because we see so many teams go on the road and win. And I mean, we saw them in the NBA. We saw the Pacers obviously win a game in OKC. We saw the Thunder go win a game in Indianapolis. And obviously, we've seen this already. We saw the Dodgers win Game 2 in Toronto. We saw the Blue Jays win Game 4 over in Los Angeles. But it is, like, that is a thing that still holds up, right? The Jays, if they just keep winning in Toronto, they are going to win the series. They have taken back home field advantage. But you know what can make it even better? Winning tonight and completely going back to Toronto with full confidence. Because you're up 3-2, and obviously, yes, the mindset around Los Angeles is going to be, okay, take it one game at a time, but we can still win the series. How we just saw this a couple years ago in the National League Championship Series. We saw a team go back home, up 3-2. This was the Phillies, go back cross-country. Now, obviously, we're crossing international borders with this World Series, but we saw Philadelphia go down to Arizona, take 2 of 3, and go back to Philadelphia, up 3-2 with all the momentum in the world. They might have, I think they might have gone to Arizona 2-0, but they got game 5. It might have gone there 2-0. They lost games 3 and 4, and they won game 5. Regardless, Philly goes back home, all this confidence. We just got to, we're making these guys go cross country just for one more game, and we're going to put them out of their misery. And obviously the D-backs went there, won back-to-back. Again, we've seen this story before. My point with all this being, I know this is going to sound a little bit convoluted and long form, ramble here, but home field advantage doesn't mean that much anymore. It's just strictly dependent on games. But again, what I'm going for with the Blue Jays is they're trying to win. It's different, though, when it's not an elimination game. That's why, again, I'm more hesitant on the money line. That's why I think there'll be a competitive game to just pick them to win. Don't love it. Another factor, though, we need to mention, though, Yoshinobu Yamamoto takes them out in Game 6. If you're the Jays and you steal this one, and you go back to Toronto 3-2, you have 2 chances to win it. First one's a tough one with Yamamoto on the mound. But then Game 7, all bets are off, and no Yamamoto to save the Dodgers anymore, and you get Tyler Glasnow. Just saying, again, just some things to think about. I'm going Blue Jays plus 1.5. We'll have a lot more on this, again, as we go into Game 6 back up in the 6 on early Friday morning, so you're not going to want to miss that. Folks, thank y'all for watching. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to comment if you do disagree with any of the picks. Folks, thank y'all for watching, and Mamba forever.